Hello and welcome to the first episode of the series Crumpet's Card Corner. I am Crumpet of Da-Kanitters, and this week I am talking about Shadows Over Innistrad. The pre-release is coming up this weekend, and in honor of that I am highlighting 6 uncommons, an artifact and one from each color, that I think will be good in Sealed and especially in Standard as well. Now, these cards, the power of them might not all be obvious, but I think that they will come into play in Standard within a certain time. First up is the Artifact Skeleton Key. I think this card has the potential to be incredibly powerful. It's cheap to play, cheap to equip, and it has a loot effect attached to it, which would be alright, but what makes it good is that it gives the equipped creature Skulk. This gives it a way to push through, so to speak, if it's a smaller creature, as like if it's a 1/1 or a 1/2, 1/3, something like that, it'll almost always push through and get you the looting effect, and this is especially good if you attach it to a smaller creature that has another effect when it connects. One of the hardest things to do in my experience is to push damage through in the late game once your opponent starts getting bombs and stuff out, and the two answers to that are removal or ways to push it through with evasion. And this is a good way to do that, and even if you're just pushing through a 2/2 every time, that damage really starts to build up. Next up, in blue, is Trail of Evidence. This card has more of a standard application than Sealed, I think, but in Sealed, if you get the right pool, you can build a solid control deck, and this card can help you really augment that kind of power. You drop this on turn 3, and then every instant sorcery spell after that, in the end, it essentially draws you a card. It helps you thin through your deck, it'll get you to your win cons quicker, it'll get you through your removal, and ultimately should help you keep a stable control over the board state. Now, in Standard, I think this card is a lot better, because there's a wider pool of cards, and you're able to build a more successful control deck in the first place, and the ability to be able to get through your deck quickly just by casting instants and sorceries and paying that 2 extra just at the end of your opponent's turn, or the ability to be able to get through your deck like that quickly, I think is incredibly valuable, which is the value of cards like Blue Sun Zenith or Think Twice. Our next card is Pick the Brain, which again has a much greater standard application than it does Sealed, but I really think that this card could come into play in Sealed as well. Just for the hand disruption. The Delirium doesn't really matter because people don't often play a lot of multiples of cards in Sealed, but I really do think that the hand disruption, the exiling, could really help you get rid of your opponent's bomb or their win con. Now, obviously in Standard, if you're able to enable Delirium, this is a really, really powerful card. It's similar to effect of Surgical Extraction or Slaughter Games. It's a little worse than both of those cards, but I still think it's an excellent, excellent card for Standard application, just to be able to get rid of the one card that's bothering you. Now the downside of that, of course, is that they have to have it in their hand. But even if they don't have it in their hand, you can still take away the most valuable card in their hand, and then proceed to take away every copy of that valuable card in their deck. Next we have, in green, Pack Guardian. This card might not have a huge application in Standard, but as far as Sealed is concerned, this card is overwhelmingly powerful. I mean, 4 for a 4/3 with Flash is a pretty incredible value in the first place. And as long as you have a land card in your hand, you get a 2/2 as well. So you are paying, in a perfect world, you're paying 4 for 6 power at instant speed, split between 2 creatures, which can potentially disrupt an entire attack for your opponent, which is a really big deal. This card, on turn 4, could put you ahead by so much in the game. It just gives you such a huge advantage. On turn 4, you throw this down, discard your land, get a 2/2, and you can block a 2/3 or a 2/2 with this, and it doesn't trade, and then block a 3/2, 2/2, whatever, with your wolf, and it trades with that, but you take away 2 of your opponent's creatures and are potentially left with a 4/3 on the board, which is a fairly formidable creature for a sealed format. This would be a huge card to keep your eye out for. In red, we have Dual Shot. This card, it's a shock that you can split up, basically. You can't deal it to a player, which it's whatever, but this could, someone plays a Raise the Alarm, which isn't in Standard, but that's the first card that came to mind, or anything that gives them 2 1/1 tokens, and you take them out both for 1 mana right here. You can finish off blockers. Someone blocks your 2/2 with a 4/3 or a 2/3, and you can finish that off there. It can also take care of 2/1s, which there are plenty of. I know there's some 2/1 vampires, probably. I think there's a 2/1 zombie coming out in this set. There's a 2/1 human, I believe. And there's already the 1/2. There's already a couple 1/2/1s or 2/2/1s in Standard, and this can take out multiples. So in Standard, this will probably see play in the sideboard against the little white weenie type decks, just as a complete blowout. And in Sealed, the application of this card is huge because there's a lot people play a lot more of those littler creatures. Last but not least, one of my favorite cards in this set, actually. I think this card is really insane. In Sealed application first, this card is probably actually overpowered. You drop this on turn 2. It's a sealed format, so unless you're playing a super out of the gate aggressive deck, not much else is going to be going on turn 2. But you drop this on turn 2. By turn 3 or 4, you're attacking with 3/3s, 4/3s, 2/3s, whatever. But giving a creature indestructible at the beginning of your combat gives you a huge advantage, because even if they block it with a slightly bigger creature, it won't die, and you can use something like Dual Shot to finish it off, or the ability that's built in. This card essentially just discourages blocking in general, especially blocking the creature that's indestructible, because, I think a huge usage of this card will be to push through damage early on. Because no one's going to want to block your 2/2 with a 2/3. I think this card will push through a lot of damage, and in some cases they might actually be forced to block, in which case this is a removal spell again. I think this card is incredibly powerful, and I think it'll have much of the same application in Standard. It'll be probably played in a low to the ground aggressive deck. This probably isn't your turn 2 play. I could see this coming down turn 4 maybe, in addition to a 2-drop. Good luck in your sealed pools. I will be playing 1 or 2 this weekend, and I might do an after-action report type thing on that. But good luck. Keep an eye out for these cards, and especially keep an eye out for these cards if they come down against you. Until next time, this has been the weekly edition, hopefully weekly edition, of Crumpet's Card Corner. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on social media. Links will be posted in the description for Instagram and Twitter. Tell your friends about the channel. We're really just kicking off. And until next time, peace.